Stories by Anna Born to Rule. Episodes 326 to 330. Review. Simon tried to humiliate Charlie and ended up destroying himself. Hook. First 3 seconds. Simon tried to cheat Charlie out of a race, crashed into a $2 million car, then walked into dinner and bragged that the wrecked car belonged to him. And Charlie? Charlie already knew something was wrong. Welcome back to Stories by Anna, Faith, Hope, and Life Lessons. If you are new here, welcome. And to everyone who keeps coming back for these Born to Rule reviews, thank you for being part of this growing community. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because episodes 326 through 330 give us one of the clearest examples yet of what happens when pride, dishonesty, and desperation start feeding one another, and Simon Becker is about to learn that lesson the hard way. Episode 326, A Coward's Escape. We begin with a race. Charlie is driving with Claire, Aunt Lena, Nora, and Connor. The stakes are simple. If Charlie wins, Simon is supposed to donate his car to the orphanage, and Charlie even tells Aunt Lena what he plans to do with the prize. Sell the car, use the money for the children, buy toys, help the orphanage. That alone tells us something about the difference between Charlie and Simon before the race even begins. Charlie is thinking about what the car could do for other people. Simon is thinking about what losing the car would do to him. Simon is confident at first. He even offers Charlie a 3-second head start. Charlie refuses. No need. Start together. And the moment the race begins, Simon discovers just how badly he has miscalculated. Charlie gives him about a second, then steps on the gas, and disappears. Simon cannot believe what he is seeing. His foot is already down, his engine is giving him everything it has, and Charlie is still pulling away. Within seconds, Simon cannot even see him. Now this is where Simon has a choice. He can accept that he lost, honor the bet, donate the car, take the embarrassment, move on. Instead, Simon chooses deception. He decides to cause an accident deliberately so he can claim the race was interrupted. That is why A Coward's Escape fits so well. Simon isn't escaping danger. He is escaping accountability, and the plan is almost ridiculous in its calculation. He looks for a vehicle he thinks will be cheap enough to hit without causing too much financial damage. He avoids one expensive-looking vehicle. Then he spots what he assumes is a regular Vulcanrad Ventaro. Perfect. Hit that. Let insurance handle it. Cancel the race. Save face. Problem solved. Except Simon has made one catastrophic mistake. That cheap car is not cheap at all. It is a Vulcanrad Heliora, worth more than $2 million. And just like that, Simon's attempt to avoid losing one car puts him in danger of owing more money than the car he was trying to protect was ever worth. That is the irony. Simon would have been far better off simply losing honestly. Instead, dishonesty multiplies the cost. Episode 327, A Debt He Can't Pay. Then things get worse. The owner of the Heliora appears, and Simon soon learns that he did not just hit an expensive car, he hit the car of Weston Blackwood, a man with serious underworld connections. Simon goes from smug to terrified almost instantly. Weston does not want excuses. He does not want a repair estimate. He does not want Simon crying about insurance. His demand is simple. You buy me a brand new Heliora, same model, same specifications. Now think about Simon's position. His own car is wrecked. His insurance is limited. The other car is worth more than $2 million. He already financed his own car. He poured his savings into the down payment. His salary cannot come close to covering the loss. And Weston gives him 1 week. Not months, not years. 1 week. Simon falls apart. But even then, notice what he does. He blames Charlie. That is important. Charlie did not force Simon to crash. Charlie did not force Simon to lie. Charlie did not force Simon to deliberately hit another vehicle. Charlie simply drove faster. Everything after that was Simon's decision. Yet instead of saying, "I did this to myself," Simon's mind immediately searches for somebody else to blame. That is one of Simon's biggest character flaws. He wants the benefit of his choices without accepting the consequences, and that attitude is about to create another scheme because Simon now needs money. Fast. The group thinks it was just an accident. Meanwhile, Charlie and the others arrive at the Elysian Grand Hotel. The orphanage group chat is buzzing. Everyone is concerned about Simon. Aunt Lena is worried. Nora suspects something, and I liked Nora here because she says what Charlie is probably already thinking. She believes Simon crashed deliberately because he knew he was going to lose. Aunt Lena, however, cautions her, don't assume the worst. And that fits Lena perfectly. She wants to see the good in the children she helped raise, even now. Even when one of them is behaving terribly. Eventually, Nora calls Simon's friend. Simon grabs the phone and lies. He says it was just a rear-end collision. He says he is fine. He says he will still come to dinner. But now we know why. Simon is not going because he suddenly feels devoted to Aunt Lena. He is going because he is already thinking, how can I make money off this dinner? That is where the story turns from desperate to predatory. Episode 328, The Faker's Feast. Simon arrives at the hotel pretending nothing is wrong, and the lies start almost immediately. When everyone asks about the accident, he minimizes it. Just a fender bender. Insurance will take care of it. No big deal. Then Charlie asks the obvious question. If the race was only a few miles long, how exactly did Simon manage to rear-end somebody? Simon gets defensive, of course, and instead of admitting Charlie beat him, he claims he forgot to put his car in sport mode. The excuses just keep coming. But then Simon gets inside the hotel and immediately starts performing again. He tries to make Charlie feel small. He tells Charlie this is probably the fanciest place he has ever seen. He behaves as though he is introducing Charlie to luxury, and Charlie barely reacts. Why? Because Charlie knows the truth. The Aurelius Grand is his. The money on Charlie's card could buy places like this without changing his life. So Charlie does not need to prove anything. That is a recurring difference between these two men. Simon needs people to believe he is important. Charlie does not, and that silence frustrates Simon more than an argument ever could. Then Simon makes another bad decision. The group sits down. Aunt Lena is emotional. She is happy to see everyone. Most of the former orphanage children have grown into ordinary adults with ordinary struggles. No wealthy parents, no family safety net, no powerful connections. They built whatever lives they have from scratch, and that is actually a touching moment. But Simon sees the room differently. He sees an audience. He starts bragging. He tells everyone he is a director at a publicly traded company. He talks about huge bonuses. He claims to work under the White family. Then he starts poking at Charlie again. Still living off your wife? Still doing housework? Still unemployed? Charlie simply answers him, yes. He cooks, he cleans, he takes care of the house, he is comfortable. And Simon cannot understand that answer because Simon's entire self-worth is built around appearing richer than everyone else. So Simon offers Charlie a job, not because he wants to help him, because he wants to humiliate him. He tells Charlie he can work as an assistant, fetch coffee, pour water, do grunt work for $3,000 a month, and Charlie calmly declines. That refusal bothers Simon even more. Because Simon is offering Charlie what he thinks is charity. Charlie doesn't need it. Episode 329, The Doubling Scheme. Now Simon reveals what is really happening. He starts talking about investments, huge returns, inside information, doubling money, making fortunes in almost no time. And that is where the danger begins. Because these people are not wealthy investors. Many of them are struggling. They grew up without families, without financial cushions, without wealthy parents to rescue them if they make a mistake. And Simon knows that. That is what makes what he does next especially ugly. Thomas speaks up. Thomas is desperate. He wants to get married. His future mother-in-law expects a large gift. Thomas has managed to save around $100,000 through years of hard work and sacrifice. That money is not spare cash. It is basically everything he has. Simon hears that and sees an opportunity. Not a friend in trouble. An opportunity. He tells Thomas his savings are not enough. Then, pretending to help, he suggests online loans. Borrow another $400,000 or $500,000. Combine that with the savings. Give Simon around $600,000. Then Simon will supposedly double it. Thomas is thrilled. He thinks Simon is saving his future. The reality? Simon intends to use Thomas's money to solve his own debt problem, and he does not care what happens to Thomas afterward. If Thomas is buried under predatory loans, not Simon's problem. If he loses everything, not Simon's problem. That is when Simon crosses a major line. Earlier, he was arrogant. Now, he is willing to financially destroy somebody who trusts him. Charlie tries to warn them. Charlie has been quiet, but then Simon mentions his company, and something clicks. Charlie recognizes the name. This is the same kind of company associated with the scam that previously trapped Elaine. Charlie knows the boss. He knows the company is fraudulent. So he starts questioning Simon. And for the first time, Simon gets nervous. Because Charlie is getting too close to the truth. But then something frustrating happens. Thomas turns on Charlie. Charlie is trying to protect him. And Thomas accuses Charlie of jealousy. Why are you interfering? Are you upset because Simon did not invite you into the investment? Charlie realizes something. You cannot rescue somebody who is determined to fight the person trying to save them. So Charlie backs away. That is not cruelty. It is recognizing that Thomas has chosen who he wants to believe. And unfortunately, some lessons only arrive after the consequences do. Episode 3:30. Luxury on credit. Now, Simon takes his performance to another level. He produces the key to the Heliora. Remember, it is Weston's car, the same car Simon deliberately crashed into, the same car that has put him under a massive financial obligation, the same car he has to replace. And Simon puts the key on the table and pretends the car belongs to him. You cannot make this up. He brags that he bought a low-key luxury vehicle. He talks about how people mistake it for something cheaper. And the funniest part is that he is basically describing exactly how he himself mistook it for something cheaper before crashing into it. The men at the table are impressed. They believe Simon owns a $2 million car, and Simon lets the lie grow. He claims his investment business makes so much money that buying something like that is nothing. Then the others start wanting in. Thomas wants in. Another person wants in. Soon, Simon has nearly everyone believing they can borrow money and become wealthy almost immediately. And Aunt Lena tries to warn them. She has heard about these online loan schemes. She knows the interest can be outrageous. She tells them to be careful. Simon brushes it aside, because Simon needs their money. Then the dinner becomes part of the scam. Simon begins ordering and ordering and ordering expensive lobster, premium seafood, very expensive champagne, thousands of dollars in food and drinks. People start getting uncomfortable. Thomas tries to object. Connor tries to object. Aunt Lena tries to object. But Simon uses shame against them. He tells Thomas he is cheap. He mocks him for saving money. He tells him that attitude is why he is poor. Then Simon does something even more manipulative. He uses Aunt Lena. He basically says, "She raised us. She cared for us. How can we complain about spending money on her?" Now nobody wants to say anything. Because if they object, it looks as though they don't appreciate Aunt Lena. That is emotional manipulation. Simon is turning their love for Lena into leverage, and Charlie finally realizes something. This does not add up. Simon is not generous. Simon deliberately crashed his own car to avoid giving it away. So why is this same man suddenly ordering thousands upon thousands of dollars in food? Charlie starts thinking. Simon must be getting something out of this. Maybe the dinner can be expensed. Maybe Simon has some way to recover money from it. Whatever the exact mechanism, Charlie realizes Simon is trying to make the group pay for something that benefits Simon. And that is when Charlie decides, fine, let's see how generous Simon really is. Charlie speaks up. Everyone else pays nothing. Charlie and Simon will split the entire bill 50-50, even if it reaches $200,000. And that is where episode 330 leaves us. Simon wanted to inflate the bill. Charlie just removed everybody else from the equation. Now every expensive item Simon orders hurts Simon directly. And if you know Charlie Wade, you already know Charlie is not worried about the bill. Simon, however, Simon should be very worried. What episodes 326 to 330 are really about? These episodes are not really about racing. They are about what desperation reveals about character. Simon loses the race. Instead of accepting it, he cheats. The cheating causes an accident. The accident creates a massive debt. The debt leads him to lie. The lies lead him to scam his friends. The scam leads him to target Thomas. Then he uses Aunt Lena's kindness as a tool to manipulate everybody at dinner. Look at the chain. One dishonest decision does not stay alone. It needs another lie to protect it. Then another. Then another. And before long, Simon is no longer trying to escape one embarrassing loss. He is risking the financial lives of people who grew up beside him. That is how quickly character can deteriorate when pride refuses to admit, "I was wrong." Stories by Anna. Life lesson. The strongest lesson here is simple. Sometimes accepting one small loss saves you from a much bigger disaster. Simon could have lost the race. He could have honored his word. Yes, losing the car would have hurt. Yes, people might have laughed, but the car would have gone to the orphanage. The matter would have ended. Instead, Simon tried to avoid one loss and created a debt worth millions. Then he started putting other people's lives at risk to save himself. That is what pride can do. It can convince you that admitting defeat is unbearable until the price of avoiding defeat becomes far worse. And there is another lesson in Thomas. Desperation makes bad promises sound believable. Thomas wants to get married so badly that the words, "double your money in 1 week," sound like salvation. But whenever someone promises enormous returns with almost no risk, especially while encouraging you to borrow money to participate, that should make you slow down, not speed up. When fear says, "This is my only chance," wisdom needs to ask, "Why does this person need me to act so quickly?" Final thoughts. Episodes 326 through 330 show two men going in completely opposite directions. Simon is trying desperately to look powerful. Charlie simply is. Simon lies about owning a $2 million car. Charlie does not mention what he owns. Simon brags about his connections. Charlie does not need to. Simon uses people to solve his problems. Charlie watches, calculates, and waits. And now Simon has finally created the perfect trap for himself. He wanted a huge dinner bill because he thought everyone else would help pay it. Charlie has just said, "No, you and I will split it." And suddenly, the man who kept saying money was no problem may have to prove it. Now I want to hear from you. What was Simon's worst decision? Deliberately crashing the car, lying about the Heliora, or trying to scam Thomas out of his life savings? And tell me this. Do you think Charlie should have tried harder to stop Thomas, or was Charlie right to back away after Thomas rejected the warning? This has been Stories by Anna, Faith, Hope, Life Lessons. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And until the next Born to Rule review, remember, a small embarrassment can heal. A lie used to escape it can become a debt you spend years paying. Stories by Anna.